MotoGP 22 preview, challenging but fair. Milestone continued to add to its library with the recent release of Monster Energy Supercross 5, and now the studio is following that up with another licensed franchise in the form of MotoGP 22. Although it does not release until April, I was lucky enough to get my hands on a MotoGP 22 preview copy to find out what's in store for fans of the series. The physics in the preview build of MotoGP 22 can be described as unforgiving, and I wouldn't fault anyone for that description. For me, though, I tend to use realistic when breaking them down. From the minute I climbed on the bike and took my first lap around the track during the time trial, it was very apparent my sim-cade approach was not the path to take. It felt like I had been reborn and was learning to retake my first steps. I was wobbling left and overcompensating to wobble to the right, but eventually it became clear that I might be able to pull some stability off, if only for a fleeting moment. The truth is, taking a spin around the track is hard in MotoGP 22, but as I remembered how to properly lean into turns and let gravity take over, it all started coming back to me. MotoGP 22 requires you to understand that racing is about timing, finesse, strategy, and aggressiveness in small doses at the right time. MotoGP 22 also forces you to understand how to feather the throttle and brake, sometimes simultaneously, to maximize the bike's potential during pivotal times of each race. You'll not only be taking control of Rossi in 9 season 2009, though. You'll also take control of other esteemed MotoGP competitors such as Casey Stoner and Jorge Lorenzo. In each event you'll have both a main and optional objective, so you might not only need to win, but also do with a hefty lead to earn all of the rewards available. There are many liveries to unlock providing you're up to the challenge. While we had limited access to modes for the preview, MotoGP 22 will once again feature a managerial career. It's said to be improved and enhanced, but we'll have to wait until we go hands-on with the full game to see in what way. It's one of the few areas where we thought MotoGP 21 was lacking, so hopefully there have been some developments to liven it up and make it more interesting. Outside of career, all of the usual modes you've come to expect are making a return, too. Although there's good news for those that like bursts of biking action with their friends, MotoGP 22 will have split-screen mode for the first time. Well, on most formats anyway, the Switch misses out, most likely due to hardware limitations. MotoGP 22 then, is set to be another solid entry in the long-running video game series. And while we're keen to see what its career mode is like, we're already sold on its new 9 season 2009 mode. As ever, it's more of an evolution than a revolution, but that doesn't make this new entry any less worthwhile. And while racing on 2 wheels is undoubtedly harder than racing on 4, there are enough assists here to make it enjoyable for a range of skill levels. Needless to say, fans of the sport would be wise to keep this on their radar. Playing through the tutorials made me feel like I was playing my first racing game ever. I tried my best to follow the racing line, I floundered and flopped my way through turns, and was scared to push the accelerator too far forward for fear of crashing, despite crashing anyway. All of this made me feel as if I was judgmentally watching a non-gamer struggle to grasp the basic mechanics and thinking, why don't you get it? But in this case the you is actually me, and the judgment is real. Enough suffering, just give me the virtual training wheels so I can win something. Interestingly, MotoGP 22 does have its own version of training wheels, and to quite the degree. Assists in racing games are nothing new and are, arguably, more commonplace now than before. Sure, elitists scoff at the very existence of such tools, but thankfully, racing devs seem to have made it an unspoken rule that such mechanisms should be a standard. MotoGP 22 makes use of them in spades, with even fundamental elements of the experience, like braking and throttle control, having computer assistance. This is not a mark against MotoGP 22, mind you. It's difficult to make a title feel both richly authentic enough to impress those looking for a complex, sim-like experience while also retaining enough padding to cushion the bruises that newcomers will encounter in their early moments. In other words, if you can't handle the ride, you may just want to take a detour before you get too far down the path. Getting into the MotoGP 22 gates truly seems to be a rite of passage. Perhaps Milestone may tighten up the controls before MotoGP 22 launches next month, but I highly doubt there will be much of a difference. That said, in its current pre-release form, I can definitely see that there's a solid product to be had. But, for a player like myself, I predict trying to slog through the campaign will be quite the challenge. So, by all means, the MotoGP 22 experience is something I'd recommend dabbling in as a trial at first if at all possible before full commitment. Many titles deserve a demo, and this is one of them.